We are live. Good day, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever time it happens to be. Good day. Hello, Lee Hayward here with the Total Fitness Bodybuilding video chat for Friday, March the 10th. Another week has come and gone. It's amazing how fast time flies. I know I probably say this a lot, but it's true. It's just a blink of an eye and a week is gone. That's the way it seems to be these days. All right, I'm just going to see if this is coming through loud and clear. Hopefully it is. Hopefully you can see me and hear me. We're streaming on Facebook as well as the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel. So whether you're joining through Facebook or YouTube, should be the same stream, but the video chat section may be a bit different depending on the platform you're using. Paul saying, coming through loud and clear. Thank you, Paul. Much appreciated. Glad to have you joining in. Says, great to be with you today. It's a wonderful but rare moment. What are your thoughts about cold therapy? All right, we'll get into that shortly. Lee Dunnigan's joining in, saying loud and clear. Excellent. Good stuff. Glad to hear that this is coming through. All right. Let me wet my whistle. I just got back from the gym myself, so I'm all pumped and jacked and ready to go. Right? I normally do my workouts earlier in the day, but today I had some appointments and things that I was working on throughout the day. So I made it work, right? I bent the schedule, got in the gym later this afternoon, but it doesn't matter. Like getting it done regardless whether it's morning, noon, or night. The most important thing is that you get it done. So the way these video chats work is I'm going to be hanging out here for the next hour and answering questions and topics of discussion that you want to discuss related to fitness and nutrition. So if you have any questions about your workouts, any questions about your nutrition, any questions about building muscle, losing fat, any specific challenges that you're dealing with, feel free to type those questions and topics of discussion into our chat window, and I'll do the best that I can to help you out over the course of our video chat. And just for full transparency, I don't claim to have all the answers, all right? I have a few, all right? I've been doing this for over 30 years, and I've learned a thing or two along the way, but I don't claim to be a know-it-all. So if I can't help you or if I don't have a decent answer to share, then I won't hesitate in telling you the truth and just saying, I don't know. I have no shame in doing that, all right? But if I can help you, then I'll do the best that I can, and if not, then I'll try and point you in the right direction to somebody who can help. All right, so this seems to be coming through loud and clear. If it is, seems to be good. All right, smash the thumbs up button or give it a heart or whatever it happens to be on the platform you're streaming from. Always much appreciated. And we're going to jump right into your questions and comments and topics of discussion. Actually, I think it was Rick earlier today posted a comment when I shared this on Facebook saying that I was going to be doing a live chat today. And he said, what's the topic of the day? And I said, it's viewer's choice. All right, it's a live Q&A. So you guys get to choose the topic of the day or the topics. I'm sure there's going to be multiple ones. All right, let's jump in. We have Paul's the number one question, or the first question, I should say. What are my thoughts about cold therapy? That's an interesting one. I've had some experience with cold therapy. I actually made some videos about this, or a video, I should say, couple of years ago now. It's been a while. I got right into following Wim Hof. If you're not familiar with Wim Hof, just do a search. W-I-M space H-O-F. Wim Hof. He holds some world records for cold exposure, blah, 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 blah. I mean, there's a gazillion YouTube videos. He's in the Guinness World Records, all that. Like, just get on Google and do a search, and you'll find lots of information about Wim Hof. Anyway, for a while, for about a year, I was really following the Wim Hof method. And he has this method of, certain breathing exercises along with cold exposure that you do on a daily basis to train your body. And it is amazing how you can actually train your body in a progressive overload fashion to deal with the cold. And I did that for a while, and I was very serious with it. I mean, and did it in the Canadian winter. So I have on video me out in a snowbank wearing my underwear and literally having my wife bury me in snow with a shovel in the middle of winter and staying there for, I'm not sure, like 5 minutes or something like that, buried in snow in my underwear. Yeah, right. I have another video of me out in, I went up to Manuel's River and it was like the river is still flowing, but it was snow and ice everywhere else. I mean, you can see snow and ice everywhere. The water is freezing, and I went in and did like 5-minute cold exposure into the river. And I did a lot of different stuff like that. Cold showers is another regular one. Like that's how you build up your tolerance to it, but also a lot of outdoor cold exposure. And you kind of get into it. And the thing is it strengthens your body, it strengthens your willpower, strengthens your immune system, but you got to do it in a gradual, progressive fashion. I have to be totally honest and transparent. I haven't been as consistent or as diligent with it. I kind of like hit my peak when it came to the cold therapy, because my goal with it was like, hey, I want to be able to stay so long buried in a snowbank, basically in my underwear. It's kind of weird, but like I was following the Wim Hof method, and they had like people doing crazy stuff like outdoors in the water and stuff like that, and in the ice, and I wanted to do those things. I set myself a goal, and I accomplished that goal. And it was kind of like once I hit the goal, then the motivation kind of dwindled, and I haven't been as diligent or consistent with it afterwards. But there is benefits to it. Is it a must? I mean, as far as health and fitness or bodybuilding or fat loss or whatever? No, absolutely not. I mean, you can still get in great shape and have good health without doing cold therapy. But is it something that you may want to look into? Yeah. I mean, it's certainly, there is some benefits to it. And ironically, when I was doing the Wim Hof method, which included, the breathing exercises and the cold therapy and all that kind of stuff, I did not get sick at all that winter. My immune system felt strong, and just your tolerance to cold, it just goes to another level. Like it feels cold, but you can handle it. It's almost like when you're lifting weights, like you build up your strength, the weight still feels heavy, but you can lift it. Right? Like 300 pounds still feels like 300 pounds, regardless of how strong you get. It's still heavy. But you get to the point where you build up your strength and your work capacity where you can handle 300 pounds in a squat or a bench press or whatever, but it still feels heavy. Same with the cold. Like it still feels cold. It never like you jump into a freezing river and say, oh, this feels warm. It feels like a hot tub. No, it's still freaking cold, but it's just like you can deal with it. And it's just amazing how your body you can train it to build up your tolerance to that. And in the process of doing so, you help to strengthen your immune system and a lot of other benefits. So yeah, that's my thoughts and experiences on cold therapy. And if you want, do a search. I'm going to pop this up now because you got me curious, Paul. If I go to YouTube, go to my YouTube channel, what is that video? If you just do a search for all right, Lee Hayward, Wim Hof. If you do a search for that, it was 5 years ago. Holy smokes, it's crazy how time flies. 5 years ago, I did that video. Yeah, but I'm going to share the link in the video chat here. Or actually, for the heck of it, why not? I'm going to pop this open here. All right. I'm going to do this just for the heck of this. I want to share this on our screen here. So let me find, because this is a fun one. Where's my present, share screen? All right, bear with me. I'm going to share this one. Okay, share screen, tab, video. There we go. Let's see. I don't know if that's coming through. Let's see. Should be coming through. All right. Make that full screen for us. All right, I'm going to fast forward here now. Where is it? So some stuff. All right, there we are. This Manuel's River in the middle of winter. Here's me in my skibbies out in the snow and in the river, freezing my ass off. But the thing is, you can build up your tolerance and actually handle that stuff. It's crazy. Right? You could build up to cold therapy. What else was there? I think I also have another one of me out in the snow. Where is it? Yeah. We're just fast forward here. Okay. Yeah. So I'm in the snow there. Whoops. It's back when our dog Sally was still alive. Yeah. God love her. Yep. So yeah, this proof I have done cold therapy. Yes, there's my wife. She's burying me in the snow. And the dog is trying to dig me out at the same time. Oh, that's awesome. Anyway, I'll get back to our Q&A now. Right. Stop the screen share. There we go. But yeah, you can check that out. Just do a search for Lee Hayward, Wim Hof in YouTube, and it'll come up. And the video title is My Experiences with the Wim Hof Method is the title of the video. But again, search for Lee Hayward, Wim Hof, and it will pop up in the search. All right, moving on. Let's see what else we got. Sean is joining us. Says, Lee, I've been doing weighted pull-ups for years. If I switch to lat pull-downs, I guess that's what he meant, but instead of pat pull-downs, it's just a typo. Lat pull-downs, will I lose strength? Not necessarily. It's a different exercise. It'll provide some unique muscle stimulation, and there's pros and cons to both. Now, if you only do the pull-downs and totally neglect the pull-ups, yeah, you're not going to maintain the same level of strength for the pull-ups. Like, you need to do both, right? Like, the body becomes its function. You will get strong at what you practice. So if you never practice pull-ups, then you're not going to be good at pull-ups. But you can utilize the lat pull-down to still add to your back training and to enhance development in that area. And there's pros and cons to both, because with the lat pull-down, a lot of times you can use better form, more of a mind-muscle connection, where you're not lifting as heavy a weight. Generally speaking, with the pull down, you can get yourself into a better position, a better muscle contraction, better mind muscle connection a lot of times. And plus, with the pull downs, there's a lot of different variations and attachments and stuff that you can use. So it's not like one is good, bad, right, or wrong. There's advantages to both. But if your main goal is to be strong at the pull-ups, I should say, you definitely want to keep that in your workout, right? Like, a pull-up is a harder exercise than a pull-down. I'll say that. Like, if you do pull-ups to failure versus pull-downs to failure, you'll get a deeper level of muscular exhaustion from the pull-ups, because it's a body weight exercise. You're moving your entire body through space. And anytime you move your entire body through space, there's a higher level of neuromuscular activation. That's why pull-ups are harder than pull-downs. Squats are harder than leg presses. Anytime you're moving your entire body, it actually just creates more muscle awareness, and it is more challenging. So, if your goal is to be strong at the pull-ups, keep that in your workout, but it doesn't mean you can't include pull-downs. All right, who else we got? Baby Boomer Fitnesses, what's up? What's up? And Sean is correcting his typo, lat. Yes, that's correct. We got that covered. Rick is joining us. Made it mid-workout. Good stuff. Yeah, Rick was asking, what's the topic of the day? It's viewer's choice. That's what I was saying. All right. Eagle Eye John, free weights or machines for less joint soreness. We really need to look at why you're getting joint soreness to begin with, but just as a general guesstimate here, without knowing more information, you're less likely to probably have injuries or pain or soreness using machine movements versus free weights. But with that being said, I'd want to know more about why you're getting soreness in the joints. I mean, it could be simply that you're overtrained. And this actually brings up an interesting topic here, because as you get older, you need to optimize your training for recovery. Like, the older you get, the more respect you have to give your body. That just happened. Like, it can't take the same use and abuse that it did when it was younger, especially for those of you who have been training for a long time. Like, in my case, I started working out when I was 12. It's a long time, right? I'm 44 now, so it's a lot of years of training. When I was a teenager, I could get away with a lot of stuff that I can't get away with now. Like, in my teens, 20s, and even in my early 30s, I could get away with a lot of stuff. Now that I'm even when I got into my 30s and then into my 40s, I could tell the difference. Like, the body needs more respect. It needs more attention to warm up. It needs more attention to mobility work. I can't just be in there throwing around heavy weights and expect to recover from it and expect to remain injury free. Like, in my early days, in my teens and 20s, I used to throw around heavy weights, lift with crappy form, and I thought I was invincible because I never ever got injured. And I thought injuries are something that happens to somebody else, right? It's not going to happen to me, until it did. And then I realized, oh, okay, I'm not invincible. And then I learned the hard way, which unfortunately, that's the way most people learn. They learn the hard way. I mean, it would be nice if you could learn from, others' mistakes and not go through the injuries and the aches and pains and everything else. But chances are, even though you're listening to this right now, it's going to go in one ear, out the other, and you're going to have to get injured before this actually sinks in and makes sense. That's just the reality of life. But hopefully it's not a serious injury and the lesson is learned quicker. But getting back to John's question there about joint pain, as you get older, you need to factor in recovery for your joints as well, because it's not just the muscles that need recovery, but the joints, tendons, and ligaments need recovery. So your muscles may feel fine a day after the workout, but your joints, tendons, and ligaments may not. So in my case right now, I usually work out 3 days per week max, like weight training 3 days per week. And if I try and push it more than that, my muscles may be recovered, and I don't have any delayed onset muscle soreness. But I find if I push it after a few weeks of trying to go like 5 or 6 days a week in the gym, all of a sudden it's like, oh man, my elbows are hurting. Oh, my shoulders are bothering me. My knees are a bit creaky, right? All these aches and pains, in the joints. Whereas if I space it out and work out 3 days a week, work out one day, take the next day off, work out one day, take the next day off. So like every other day, 3 days a week, that's what it usually works out to. I'm fine. Like that is my sweet spot for recovery and growth, and not only muscle recovery, but joint, tendon, and ligament recovery as well. So you need to factor that in the older you get. Your joints, tendons, ligaments need time to recover, and very often it takes longer than the muscles. So you may not have any muscle soreness, but if you keep pushing the limits, you'll probably end up with joint soreness. So that could be a root cause of the joint pain, regardless if you're lifting free weights or machines or body weight exercises or whatever. So it's something you might want to consider. All right, moving on. We have Sean saying, do I still use creatine? Yes, I do. I use creatine. I usually take 5 grams of creatine monohydrate in the morning when I take my vitamins. And I take it just like I do vitamins. And like when I'm taking up my vitamins for the day, usually after breakfast, I'll have my creatine. And I know like everybody has their fancy way of doing it. Are you going to mix it up with something like the old school literature of saying, oh, you got to mix it up with a high glycemic drink like grape juice or fruit juice or some sort of creatine mix or whatever, and have it right post workout and blah, 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 blah. I just take the scoop of powder, dry scoop it. I dump the powder in my mouth, chase it down with a mouthful of water, and swish it down. I take my creatine just like I take a vitamin pill. And the thing with creatine is it's not, the timing isn't that important. What's important is that you're taking it consistently, just the same as with your vitamins. Like as long as you're taking your vitamins consistently, you're going to reap the benefits of them because you have the vitamins in your system. It's not a timed supplement where you have to take it like before the workout or right after or whatever. As long as it's in your system, you'll reap the benefits of creatine. It's not like a pre-workout, for example, where, a pre-workout and the caffeine and everything else, like you got to take that before the workout in order to get the benefits. Like there's no sense in taking, your caffeine and stimulants after your workout is done, because then you'll be just wired and jacked and right. Nowhere to release that energy. So it's not a timed supplement in that sense. Right. So it's one that you can take creatine pretty much anytime. The most important thing is as long as you're consistent with it and your cells are saturated with creatine, you'll reap the benefits of it. But yeah, I still use it. The only time I don't use creatine is when I'm traveling, because going through airports and security and customs and all that with white powder just creates a lot of problems. I actually know a friend of mine who traveled to the Arnold Classic and had their supplements with them, and the supplements got seized going through customs, right? Because it just created controversy. Like, hey, what are you doing with these powders, right? So they seized their powders, and all it was, I think, was there was some creatine and some amino acids and a pre-workout or whatever they had. That they had their their supplements that they were going to need for their trip, and it ended up getting seized at customs. So that's the only time I stop creatine, is when I'm traveling, which isn't that often. Dario's joining in. He says, I'm currently unable to work out due to illness. Any advice? take care of yourself. Focus on getting better first. That's the priority. The workouts, you can always pick them up where you left off, but the main thing is just focus on getting better. And of course, this is going to really depend on what kind of illness you're dealing with. I mean, if it's just a snotty cold and a snotty nose and a cough, I mean, you'll probably still be able to keep active to a certain degree. If it's a more serious illness, you might have to take some time off. And this is really an individual thing. It's something you'll have to play by ear and how you feel. One thing that is sometimes helpful is going through the motions. And it's interesting because like I've been sick before and still worked out, just scaled down the intensity and did lighter workouts, easier workouts, active recovery workouts, if you will. And then there's other times where if I just feel like I'm hit by a truck and just exhausted and burnt out and blah, sometimes I don't work out at all. So it's really, you're going to have to play it by ear. But one thing I will share is when you do get back to normal training again, start back easier than when you left off. Like, don't think, I was bench pressing 200 pounds 2 weeks ago, so I'm going to jump back in and start bench pressing 200 pounds again. No, start off light. Like literally just go through your workouts for the first week back with warm-up weights. Just kind of go through the motions, get your body used to training again, and then gradually build it up. Because a common mistake that a lot of people make anytime they have a layoff, whether it's from an injury, whether it's from sickness, whether it's just because they were busy and they couldn't work out or whatever, it's amazing how fast your fitness can decline. So like if you try to maintain the same work output as what you left off at, your fitness levels decline, and now you try to lift those same heavy weights, you could end up injuring yourself in the process. And it's very common to see that. So start back light. Like give yourself permission to train light and literally go through the motions and then build it back up. And this is something that you're constantly going to be doing this throughout your workouts. Like this, throughout your whole fitness journey, you're always going to be going through ups and downs. It's like a little roller coaster, it's ups and downs. But ideally, the highs will get higher and the lows won't dip as low as you go through your journey. But there's always going to be ups and downs and highs and lows. That's never going to stop. That's going to happen all the time. And a lot of times it's due to things outside your control, like getting sick. That's, for the most part, it's outside your control. I mean, yeah, we can try and take care of ourselves and eat healthy and whatever, and avoid being around people who are sick and do all the stuff that we can, wash our hands, use your hand sanitizer, all that kind of stuff. But we're bound to get sick. Everybody's going to get sick sooner or later, regardless of how clean and sanitary you are. So it's just, sometimes life's going to throw you a curveball and things are going to happen and you just got to deal with it. Moving on, we got Rick is joining in saying, when I found when I was counting my calories, my weights in the gym are lighter than just regular clean eating at a balance. All right, I can explain that very easily. Your regular clean eating at a balance is more than when you're counting your calories. Right? If you're counting your calories and trying to keep yourself in a deficit, you're eating less. If you're eating till you're comfortably full, you're eating more because you're not leaving the table hungry. You're eating to meet your energy demands. So that makes perfect sense. And I can totally relate to that. Like anytime I've dieted down for fat loss or for bodybuilding competitions or whatever, my work capacity suffers. My strength, my energy, my recovery, it all goes down. And the leaner you get, the more depleted you get, the worse it gets. And that's one of the weird things about bodybuilding and physique competition. And I'm sure anybody who's competed before can relate to this, but it's such a messed up sport in that the better you look, in terms of like the leaner and the more muscular you look and the more defined and blah, 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 the worse you feel and the worse you perform. So like your strength is going to be low. Your energy is going to be low. You're going to be dragging your heels, even though you look good because, okay, your body fat is low and you can see the muscle definition and the detail and all that. Your energy is in the toilet. When you got extra food in the system, you got a little bit of extra padding around the middle and around the body in general, like you got higher body fat levels. Now, I'm not saying like obese levels, but you're in the healthy range. You got a nice double-digit body fat percentage on you, somewhere between, say, 10 to 15%. That's the sweet spot. That's where you feel and function your best. Once the body fat starts dipping down into the single digits and the calories are into a deficit in order to get into the single digit body fat, your strength and energy is just going to go down the toilet. And that's just the way it is. That's pretty much for everybody. That's the way it is. I mean, there's probably a few genetic, freaks who have super low body fat and are able to maintain their energy at single digit body fat percentage, but very few people are, right? That would be the exception rather than the rule, right? Most people, as they get leaner, their strength and energy suffers in the process. And Rick's follow up to Rick's question there, is this normal? Yes, it's normal. All right, there we go. Who else we got joining in? Jason is joining in. Great questions, guys. Keep them coming. Great stuff. Jason is saying, coming through good, please. Is there a workout I can do to tighten loose skin? 8 months ago, I weighed 348 pounds, and now I'm down to 205. Holy smokes. But tightening up my body is proven to be difficult. All right. First off, holy moly, like 143 pounds in 8 months. Like what's the math on that? 143 divided, like that's just shy 18 pounds a month, like over half a pound a day. Like that's huge. Like that's the incredible shrinking man. Like that's insane. Like that is really insane. I mean, like kudos to you. Obviously, you worked your ass off. Literally, your ass must be gone. And a lot of else, your belly and everything else. But man, 143 pounds in 8 months. That's like mind-boggling. Or is that 8 months or 18 months? Either one is impressive. I'm not sure that, because is that a 1 and an 8, or is it like there's a space in between? I don't know. But regardless if it's 8 months or even 18 months, it's still a darn respectable number. And anytime you lose a significant amount of weight, right? Like you lost over 100 pounds, there's probably going to be some excess skin, right? That's just the way it is. Now, it may tighten up a bit as long as you maintain the weight loss, or it may not. It's really an individual thing. Like I know some guys who've lost a significant amount of weight and have very little loose skin. I know some people who've lost like 40 to 50 pounds and they have rolls of loose skin, and this is there's really no way to predict in advance until you actually go through the process and see the results for yourself. Now, it may tighten up on its own, right? So hopefully it will, right? Like as long as you maintain the weight loss. And if you're younger, generally the more likely it's going to tighten up. The older you are, the less elasticity your skin has. That's why older people, their skin tends to be a bit more saggy and wrinkly, not as tight and taut as younger people. That's just life. You lose that natural elasticity. So if you are younger, there's a good chance that your weight or your skin may tighten up more. If you're older, 40s, 50s, 60s and beyond, it's very unlikely that it will. So, but again, kudos to you for losing that much weight. I mean, that's an amazing accomplishment, regardless if it was 8 or 18 months. Again, I'm not sure. It looks like it was 18 months. I think it's just a space between your 1 and your 8. That's got me got me confused there, but that's incredible. I made a video talking about loose skin because I've got some loose skin. I mean, obviously I don't have as much loose skin as you because I was never over 143 pounds overweight, but I do have some loose skin. And I made a video about this on YouTube a couple of years ago. If you do a search for Lee Hayward loose skin, it should pop up. Let me just see if that does. Yeah, there's a couple. There's actually there was a video I did for Critical Bench. It's up on their channel, and there's another one I did for my own channel. Both of them are basically the same content. It's 2 separate videos, but it's basically the same. This is still me talking about loose skin in both of them. But yeah, if you do a search for Lee Hayward loose skin, you'll find that video. And again, there's 2 of them. One from the Critical Bench YouTube channel and one from my own YouTube channel. And of course, there's a bunch of other people who have videos on loose skin as well. So, but I mean, that's a common thing. Like I even have some loose skin myself, and it's not that big a deal. Like it's manageable. But if I draw attention to it, you can notice it. But if I don't draw attention to it, like most people would never notice it, right? Unless you're on a bodybuilding stage and your skivvies under bright lights and you can't hide anything. But in a normal situation, it's not noticeable. Like I could even take my shirt off at the beach or the pool, and like nobody would say, "Hey, look at the loose skin hanging off that guy." It is only if I draw attention to it and like, "Hey, look, here it is," that people would actually notice it. But either way, you're a hell of a lot better off having the weight off and being that much leaner and healthier. I mean, just think of how much better your overall health and fitness and energy and everything else is. It's a good trade-off. Like this is a pet peeve of mine. I know some people who are really overweight and they say, I don't want to lose weight because I'm afraid I'm going to have loose skin. Like, would you rather go through life at 348 pounds and a heart attack waiting to happen? Or would you rather be a lean and healthy 200 pounds and have a bit of loose skin? Like, heck, I'd take the lean and healthy 200 pounds any day versus just being fat and having, okay, I don't have loose skin because it's all stuffed with fat like a sausage, right? I mean, like, heck, go the lose the weight route. It's healthier and it's certainly going to feel a lot better regardless. Like, fat doesn't look good, right? Whether the skin is tight or not. Being fat does not look good. Being lean with a bit of loose skin, I think, is way the hell better. I mean, not only from a health and fitness point of view and energy and quality of life, but I mean, it also looks better as well. And the cool thing about loose skin is a lot of times you can hide it in your clothes. So, you know, if you're going around with clothes on, which most of us do, it's probably not going to be as visible unless you're taking your shirt off. Anyway, what else we got there? Baby Boomer Fitness asks, do I prefer dumbbells over machines? It depends. There's pros and cons to both, right? There's certain exercises I like with dumbbells. There's certain exercises I like with machines. So it's not one is right, wrong, good, or bad. It depends. Right? I do like a lot of dumbbell movements for exercises like bicep curls and shoulder presses and bench presses and dumbbell rows. But when it comes to machines, heck, I can do a leg curl and a leg extension and a lat pull down and a tricep press down and a pec deck fly and all these. I mean, there's certain movements that you can't realistically duplicate with dumbbells that you can do with machines. So it's not right, wrong, good, or bad. I use both. Oh my, Sean saying, you said we get to pick the topic. What's your favorite animal? Right? Mine's the tiger, right? Go Tony the tiger. My favorite animal. I don't know. You got me stumped. I don't know. A favorite animal. Well, I've always been a dog lover. I've always had dogs when I was growing up. I don't have a dog now. My dog Sally passed away a couple of years ago. And we haven't got one since, but I don't know. I've always been a dog lover, so I'm going to say dogs. But I guess it all depends. But anyway. What else we got? Eric is joining in. I heard it's good in the mornings before workouts, but it's counterproductive to do ice baths after workouts. Good for fat loss and increasing testosterone. I really don't know. I haven't. Whenever I would do my cold therapy in the past, I separated it from my workouts. I personally, and this is just from a common sense point of view, if you are going to do like cold showers, cold therapy, or whatever, I wouldn't do it right before a workout, because when you get cold, your muscles contract. They're less pliable. They're less loose and limber. You stiffen up, right? I mean, the cold tightens you up, tenses you up. I would actually rather do the opposite. Like, in fact, sometimes if I am feeling a bit stiff and sore, I will have a hot shower before I go to the gym, or I'll sit in the sauna for a few minutes at the gym or something like that to kind of warm my body up. And especially, you know, here it's in the middle of winter in Canada. Sometimes if I'm feeling a bit chilly when I go into the gym and the sauna is on, which hopefully it is, Like sometimes I'll even sit in the sauna for a few minutes just to kind of take the chill out of my body before I hit the gym floor. So I would rather warm yourself up prior to a workout than cool it down. So I would never do cold therapy before a workout. All right. So that's my personal preference. If you want to do it after a workout, I don't think that's going to have much of a negative impact because the workout is done. Right. So if you want to start incorporating some of it afterwards, I think you could certainly do. One thing that would be helpful after a workout is alternating hot and cold therapy. And this is a great recovery tactic, alternating hot and cold. I mean, it could be a hot shower and a cold pool. It could be a sauna and a cold shower. It could be just hot and cold showers. Like there's multiple ways to go about this. Could be a hot tub and a swimming pool, right? It's, different ways to go about it, but hot and cold. And the idea is when you're in hot, blood gets flushed to the surface. When your body is hot, your skin gets flushed red because the blood is being pulled to the surface. When it's cold, the blood is being pulled to your core. All right. So you can literally flush your muscles and circulate blood flow throughout your body without actually doing anything. So it's a great recovery tactic, and it's an awesome way to reduce muscle soreness. So if you do have any delayed onset muscle soreness after a workout, hot and cold therapy, however you do it, whether it's just the simplest way and one that everybody has access to is just hot shower, cold shower, alternate it back and forth. Or if you have some other fancy ways of going about it, like a sauna and a cold shower, hot tub and a cold swimming pool, sauna and cold shower, whatever. Like there's different ways of going about it, but the hot and cold therapy is a fantastic way to reduce muscle soreness, and it's something that I've used myself several times over the years anytime I am dealing with soreness. So that would be ideal post-workout. But back when I was doing the Wim Hof method, I always separated my cold therapy from the workouts. I'd never do it like beforehand or anything like that. It was always several hours in the difference usually. All right, Neil's joining in. Welcome, Neil. Neil's over in the other corner of the globe because he always jumps in and introduces with a good morning. All right, it's always a good evening for me, but it's a good morning for Neil. So good morning, Neil. He's asking, what are my thoughts with regards to the best number of reps per muscle per week for hypertrophy? The general rule of thumb, right, and I'm going to put this in air quotes, the general rule of thumb is the hypertrophy range is usually in the 8 to 12 repetitions. 10 reps is kind of like the sweet spot. And that's why you see a lot of bodybuilding programs recommend 10 reps, right? 3 sets at 10, right? It's so simple, but it works for a lot of exercises, right? It works. And that is generally the hypertrophy range where you're getting enough time under tension to have a nice hypertrophy response. And you're also able to lift a heavy enough load that you're able to place adequate stress on the muscle. Because if you go too heavy, and the reps are too low, then you're not getting a lot of time under tension. If you go too light, you're getting the time under tension, but the load is not maximum stress on the muscle. So there's always that fine line. And generally speaking, that 8 to 12 repetition range is the sweet spot for hypertrophy. But with that being said, it depends because you may find your body responds better to lower reps. You may find your body responds better to higher reps. Certain exercises may respond better to lower or higher reps. I generally find bigger compound moves, squats, deadlifts, bench presses, rows, shoulder presses, the big heavy barbell moves respond better to lower reps. So if I'm training those for hypertrophy, I'll probably err on the lower side, maybe even 5 to 8 repetitions for those. If I'm doing isolation exercises, leg extensions and side lateral raises and calf raises and all that, I'd probably err on the higher side, 12 to 15 repetitions for those. And then if it's in the middle, like your general mid-range compound exercises, I would probably stick in that 10 repetition range for most of those. So that's what works for me. But again, that's something you'll have to experiment and see what works the best for you. But that is generally, with air quotes, the 8 to 12 repetition range is the ideal range for hypertrophy for most exercises and most people. But there's always exceptions to every rule. Chris is joining in from YouTube saying, are artificial sweeteners like Splenda bad for you? This is going to open up a whole can of worms. So I'm not going to say yes, no, whatever. I'm going to say I will have artificial sweeteners in moderation. Right? I'll just state that. Right? You can, because there's, depending on who you talk to, some people are going to say they're wonderful. Other people are going to say they're going to kill you, and everything in between. Right? It's like battles between vegans and carnivores, right? Both of them are convinced they're right, and both of them are convinced if you do the other, you're going to die. So it's the artificial sweetener versus regular sweetener debate, right? Like some people are going to say, oh, if you eat Splenda, you're going to die. Someone else might say, if you eat sugar, you're going to die. Right? We're all going to die eventually, right? Let's face it. But when it comes to sweeteners, I will have them in moderation. Now, I don't go out of my way for them, but hey, if it comes in, if a recipe calls for it or something like that, I will use it in moderation. And I will drink some diet fizzy drinks from time to time, right? Like what's one like a sparkling water or something like that, or something. I'll have some of those, and some of them may have some artificial sweeteners. Protein powders. If you're using your whey protein powder or whatever, chances are that's got an artificial sweetener in it. Probably got some Splenda or something in it, or whatever. So I am still getting my artificial sweeteners through those sources. And, I'm not going to stop them anytime soon. So there, right? But I'm sure if you ask enough people, you're going to find someone who's going to try and convince you that they're going to kill you. Okay. Right. Anyway, moving on. Paul's got another question. There's a statement. There's a tendency for your video screen to freeze and after a few seconds restart. Just a heads up. All right. That's probably my internet connection. And I don't think I can try and just jiggle the cord. That's what I'm going to do, Paul. I'm going to jiggle the cord. Give me a second, guys. I'm going to jiggle the cord in the modem. Make sure this ain't good and snug. All right. If it all fails, jiggle the cord. The true tech option, if I was a true computer techie, is I just turn it all off and restart it again. But I just made sure the cords are fully in. And you know what? They were a little loose. Like when I pushed the cord in, I felt it snap in a little bit more. So who knows? Maybe it'll help. Maybe it won't. But thanks for the heads up, Paul. Appreciate it. Hopefully overall the content is coming through. All right. What else we got? We have Stanley Stud joining in. Welcome. We got Philippe joining in. I'm assuming I'm saying that right. Is it Philip? Philippe? I like Philippe. Sounds cool. But I could be saying it wrong. I've been known to butcher names, but I have no shame. All right, we're going to go on with the question. It says, greetings from Chicago. I recently changed my multivitamin and my urine was bright neon yellow. It freaked me out. Is that normal? It could be, yes. Anytime not anytime, but sometimes you may notice that. And generally what it is, it's water-soluble vitamins. When you have excess amounts or your body has enough and some of those vitamins can get excreted in the urine. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's actually a good thing, right? Because your body's using what it needs and it's flushing out the rest. So that probably means that you're getting what you need. But sometimes I've seen this happen, like especially if people start taking B vitamins, like a B complex or something, because B vitamins are water soluble vitamins. And a lot of times I've heard people say, hey, I started taking B vitamins and next thing you know, I got like neon P, right? And yeah, it can freak you out, but hey, as long as you're drinking enough water and everything else, you'll flush it through your system. It's not abnormal, put it that way. And it should, after your body gets accustomed to it and used to it, it should normalize again. As long as you're drinking adequate water and everything else, your pee should normalize. Like it hasn't happened to me for forever, but I have remembered in the past when I was younger and, started supplementing with vitamins and stuff, I did notice sometimes I get some, neon color peas, and I have a few friends of mine have told me the same thing, but it's pretty normal. Yeah. Just make sure you're drinking enough water to flush it through the system. Okay, Jason is joining us. What do you think about periodization, and how would you design a year for strength and hypertrophy? All right, again, this is a loaded question, and I love to share my thoughts on these, but for most of my coaching students and most people that I work with, we typically don't do periodization. And the reason for that is, I'm going to be brutally honest, most people are not consistent enough for periodization to even matter. If you're on and off again with your workouts, like, oh, I worked out for a few weeks and then I took a week off, and I worked out for a couple weeks and then I got busy and I had to take a couple weeks off, and I was on and off and on and off. Not like, if you're on and off, periodization doesn't matter, right? Just be on more than you're off, right? If you're in that phase of training, I'm on and off again, which is, to be brutally honest, that's the majority of people out there, right? Even the most people watching this show right now, I'm willing to bet that if we're brutally honest, your workout routine is on and off, on and off. There's a few out there, like there's a few unicorns out there who are like hitting the gym day in, day out, super consistent, blah, blah, blah. Like, and for those, I tip my hat to you. I respect, you're a role model to other brothers of iron, right? I totally have kudos and respect for you, for those of you who are consistent day in, day out, week in, week out, year in, year out, blah, blah, blah. But most people are not. That's just the reality. They're on and off, on and off. Even a lot of my coaching students in the Muscle After 40 program, when we're talking, they'll go for a few weeks really good, and then all of a sudden, like, well, shit hits the fan. Oh, and I didn't work out for the past couple of weeks because of whatever, insert excuse, whether it's busy, sick, whatever. And I'm as guilty as anybody. Like, I shared to our group today, we have our Flex Friday, our check-in on the Muscle After 40 group. And I shared, like, over the past week, I've got a lot of stuff on my plate. I have not been as consistent with my workouts. Now, I've still been working out, but it's not as optimal as I would like. So I'm not immune to this either. I go through, ups and downs with my own training as well. But anyway, getting back to Jason's question, I'm going to put it back up on the screen there because people probably forgot what the heck the question was. What do I think about periodization? First off, you got to be consistent, right? You got to be consistent day in, day out, week in, week out. Like, that has to be there first before periodization even makes a difference. Once you have that in place, then you want to decide what it is you're trying to train for and when is it that you want to peak for. So this periodization style training is used by athletes to get ready for competition. So, like, if you have your off season and your competition season, or there's something that you're getting ready for, like, let's just say a power lifter is getting ready for a meet, or you would take, okay, when do you want to be in your peak shape, right? When do you want to hit your peak? And then you would work backwards and you would design your training according to that. And you would structure in, your base building phase. You would have, the ramping up phase. And then at the end, there's usually a taper phase, right? So there's all these different phases that you would build in order to hit your peak for whatever it is that you're trying to peak for. And this would vary depending on the individual and their goals and their situation. But the reality is, most people are not consistent enough with their workouts for this to even matter, because they're on and off again. And if they tried to structure in this, it'd just be all over the place, right? You might have a few good weeks in there, and then they get busy and they quit working out for a few weeks, and then the whole program be out the window. So you got to look at it from that point of view. And take what it is you're trying to peak for and work backwards from there. We have Siddy. I think that's how I pronounce your name. Siddy. Says, good morning, Lee. Just a quick question. That's what we're here for. They could be quick. They could be long. I want to be a fitness coach in the gym as a part-time job, but I've got no experience. Where do I start? All right. First off, I would recommend getting some sort of fitness certification. And there's a gazillion programs out there. And what I would recommend, talk to your local gym, the gym that you're considering working at, or even if you have to, like, go around and ask a bunch of the different gyms in your local area and say, What certification programs do you want your trainers to have? What ones do you recommend? And they may have certain ones, like they might say, hey, we want you to have XYZ certification, right? We want you to have ACE or CanFit or whatever. There's a gazillion out there. I don't even know all the ones that are out there anymore, right? I don't keep up with it anymore. But go to the gym that you're looking at training and ask them what certifications do they want their coaches and trainers to have, and then go get that certification. A lot of these certification programs are home study courses. So they're things that you can do at home, studying through by yourself. Like it may require some Zoom classes or whatever and stuff, but usually it's like a virtual learning or it's a home study program. Some require in classroom sessions. Like I know back in the day when I became certified strength and conditioning coach, you had to show up in a classroom setting. Like it was like old school. This was back in the early 2000s when I did this. But nowadays, a lot of them are virtual learning or home study courses. But bottom line, ask the gym and ask them what certifications they recommend, and then go get those certifications. And then with that, hopefully you'll be able to qualify for a part-time job at the gym. Now, with that being said, to get a job at the gym, you're going to have the easiest job you're going to be able to get is probably like working the front desk, janitor type work. I know it doesn't sound sexy, but get your foot in the door, right? That's what you want to do. And like I know the local gym owner that at the gym I train at, Omega Health and Fitness, one of the hardest things that they have is finding people to show up and work the front desk, and finding people, to clean up. So, I mean, like that type of thing, working the desk, cleaning up, that's what the gym owner wants, right? They need someone to do that. So if you're willing to offer to help to do that, that will get you in the door at the gym, right? And then if you're a certified trainer, you can offer to help out. Maybe like you would start off by doing some orientations, like for people who are new and coming in. You could take them through their first workout or give them an orientation, show them how to work the gym, and how to do the basic exercises at the gym is what I meant to say. And then from there, you could probably start working into taking on some clients. But you just got to get in there, right? Get your foot in the door, and that's the easiest way to do it. But having that certification under your belt will certainly make it easier versus just showing up with no certification. Because if you're not certified, you're just going to be doing the grunt work, right? You'll be at the front desk and you'll be mopping floors. But if you are certified, then you'll be more able to help people out. And depending on the gym and everything else, they may require it. And that's something you have to discuss with the gym owner themselves. All right, moving on. Robert saying, I mix my creatine with protein powder. You can certainly do that. I have done that myself. Personally, the reason why I don't do it anymore is because I find the creatine has a gritty texture, and it kind of ruins the taste of the protein shake. So, kind of gives it that gritty texture to it. So that's why I find the easiest way for me to take my creatine without ruining a shake or anything like that is just dump it in my mouth, chase it down with water, and just dry scoop it. And I find I have no trouble doing that. I'm used to doing that. If you've never dry scooped powder before, you start off small and build up, because I know some people have tried it and they're like, oh my God, I choked on it and everything else. But like, you got to first off use small amounts of powder and build up to it gradually and get used to it. Just like if you've never swallowed a pill before, right? It's hard to do it. But if you get used to it, it's no big deal. So I dry scoop my creatine and find that works fine. I also, a lot of times, if I'm doing other powdered supplements, that's the way I take them as well. And I find it's easier to do it that way. But as long as you're getting it in you, it's all the same, right? I mean, it's going to work the same regardless. Okay, going back to our question there about Jason and the loose skin. He said, yes, sir, I lost 143 pounds in 8 months. Right? I thought it was 18 first, because the way it was 8. Holy shit, man. That's insane. He says, 6'4", went from 42-inch waist to a 34-inch waist, and went from a 5X to an XL, 44 years old. Man, if I had a hat, I would tip it to you. Like that shows respect, dedication. Like, man, you put in the work. There's no other way around it. Like, nobody loses 143 pounds in 8 months by accident, right? Like, you put in the freaking work. It just shows that you're the type of man who can get the job done, and you've got some serious discipline and willpower when it counts. The only thing I'm going to caution you on here is you got to learn how to transition into a maintenance phase after this, because whatever you did to lose 143 pounds in 8 months, it's not sustainable, right? It got the job done in the short term, but if you keep following that, in another another year, you'll disappear, right? You can't keep dropping weight at that faster rate. That's what I'm saying, right? I mean, eventually it's going to level off anyway, but you can't be in that crazy calorie deficit long term. Right? It's a short-term thing. So, I mean, you eventually have to find maintenance. And this is a hard thing for a lot of people, because it's so common to see folks go out there and set a goal to lose weight. Say, whatever it is, I want to lose 40 pounds, 50 pounds, 100 pounds, whatever. And they hit the goal, but they don't have a system in place to maintain after they hit the goal. Because it's like, okay, I'm either on this crazy hardcore diet or there's no diet at all, right? It's one extreme or the other. It's all or nothing. And this happens in so many things. You see it in bodybuilding. Like, I've seen people get ready for a bodybuilding show and they go on some crazy hardcore cut, get ripped for the competition. But then after the contest is over, it's like, okay, where's the all-you-can-eat buffet? Where's the pizza place? Where's the ice cream shop? Where's the bakery? And, all the crap that they deprived themselves of for months leading up to the show, they go and binge on it after the show's over. And months to lose it, only a few weeks to gain it all back. And before you know it, they're fatter than ever and they look like they've never ever stepped on stage. That happens so often. That's yo-yo dieting. Like, it's a real thing. And that is a common thing. So a lot of times people will have a goal. Like, I want to, maybe in your case, your goal is to hit 200 pounds, right? So like, you bust your ass. And then finally you hit 200 pounds and it's like, oh, I hit the goal. And then now you're like, well, what do I do now? And if you go back to your old habits, you're going to go back to 300 pounds, right? Like, the old you, the old habits, your old lifestyle was a 300-pound plus lifestyle. You have to adopt new habits, new routines, new behaviors, new actions. That is a 200-pound person's lifestyle. And you got to learn how to maintain. And in fact, when I'm working with people first, like coaching students, I want them to learn how to stop getting fat in the first place. Like, let's not worry about how to lose it as fast as possible. Let's learn how to stop getting fat in the first place. Let's learn how to build the habits and the practices and the behaviors so that you can maintain your weight and stop getting fat. Right? Like, how can we improve your overall health and fitness and everything else? And then we can optimize it to lose fat and do so in a sustainable fashion so that the weight you lose is the weight you keep off. It's none of this yo-yo dieting up and down rebound. And that's what we really go into detail within the Muscle After 40 blueprint. Like, phase 1 of the program is the metabolic reboot, where we're going to teach you how to not get fat. Like, step 1, right? The first step to losing weight and to sustaining it is to learn how to stop getting fat in the first place, right? Like, it's almost like the analogy, like if we're out in a boat, out at sea, and there's a hole in the boat, well, and we're taking on water. Well, I can figure out, like, how's the fastest way to get the water out of the boat? Well, I can use a bucket and dump it out. I could probably set up a siphon and siphon it out. I could probably set up some sort of pump and pump it out. But if the hole is still in the boat, regardless of how fast the water is being dumped out, it's still going to fill back up again. So as soon as I stop physically dumping water out of the boat and I relax, it's going to fill back up again. So step 1, plug the freaking hole, right? Stop getting fat in the first place. So stop taking on more water. We got to plug the hole. So in our Muscle After 40 blueprint, like, that's phase 1, metabolic reboot. We plug the hole. We stop getting fat in the first place. Once we stop that, then we can worry about, okay, what's the best strategy to get rid of the fat we have now, right? And then once you do it in that fashion, in that order, it's so much easier to maintain it. Versus a lot of people, it's, again, like that boat analogy. They're just worried about, how do I get the water out of the boat? But as soon as they stop that nose to the grindstone, the boat fills back up again. And that's what happens with a lot of people, right? Just visualize body fat in place of water, right? We got to plug the hole. We got to stop getting fat in the first place. So that's the only thing I'm going to caution you on, Jason. I mean, I have kudos and respect for what you've done, because, I mean, obviously you've worked your ass off to do that. But be very careful, because you're in a danger zone now where if you start to get comfortable, it's easy to relapse back into those old habits again. So you got to think. You can't think like a 300-pound person. You got to think like, okay, what does a 200-pound person do? Okay? And you got to change your lifestyle, your habits, and everything, so that is the new norm. It's not like I went on a diet and now I'm going to stop the diet. No, like if your diet is short term, the results are short term, right? It has to be a part of your lifestyle. It has to be something that you can do day in, day out for the rest of your life. Moving on, Ryan. Audiobook recommendations for walking, running, cycling sessions. I've listened to and enjoyed both Goggins books and Atomic Habits, and like those types of audiobooks. Yeah, I'm actually listening to David Goggins' second book. Now, I'm drawing a blank. I can't even remember what it's called, but I'm listening to it. Oh, man, but let me get my phone. I'll show you some of the audiobooks that I got. Where's my phone to? Hang on. Coming back. I got a lot of different books. Like some are personal development, some are business related, and all that kind of stuff. But let me just share some of my personal preferences or suggestions here. And for those of you who are watching this now, feel free to type in your suggestions. All right, yeah, the new one, Never Finished. David Goggins, Never Finished. Yeah, I'm into that one now. I like that. Okay, where's my library? Hang on. I'm into my Audible. So again, David Goggins books, I got a lot of respect for the guy. I mean, like, and they're certainly worth listening to. So yeah, if you haven't listened to those, definitely listen to those. Atomic Habits is another big one. I love that. Extreme Ownership by Jocko Wilkins and Leif Babin. That's a good one. Relentless by Tim Grover. Another good one. Endure, Cameron Haynes. That's another good one I like. Tiny Habits by B.J. Fogg. That's kind of similar but different to Atomic Habits by James Clear. In fact, B.J. Fogg and Tiny Habits was around before James Clear. Yeah, B.J. Fogg and Tiny Habits was around before James Clear and Atomic Habits. But great book again. Recommend that one. Another fun one, especially if you're a fan of David Goggins' books, Living with a Seal. And this one's by Jesse Itzler, Itzler. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name right. Jesse Itzler, I think it is. Anyway, back in the day before David Goggins was a published author and famous guy, he actually had David come live with him for a month and like be his in-person coach, live-in coach. And he shares the story in that book. Like, you know, David Goggins kicking him in the ass 3 o'clock in the morning, like, get out of bed, mother effer, we're going for a run and stuff like that. So he shares the story. So if you're a fan of David Goggins' work, you would probably like that one. It's called Living with a Seal. And he shares the story of actually having David Goggins living with him and like basically his shadow and following him along. And like some of the crazy stuff, like, this guy is a businessman and owns his own companies and businesses and blah blah. So David would be there following him along, traveling with him, going to his work, and in his office, like in between meetings, he say, "All right, man, we're going to see how many burpees you can do," and like just crazy stuff like that. But again, it was an entertaining listen. I was going to say read, but it's an audio book, so it's a entertaining listen. Another books, if you're really into fitness, some great ones that I would recommend. Tom Venuto's got some great ones. Burn the Fat, Feed the Muscle. He also has the Body Fat Solution. Two of those are definitely good for fitness content. Those are on my library. Boundless, Upgrade Your Brain, Optimize Your Body, and Defy Aging by Ben Greenfield. That's another good one as well. Limitless by Jim Quick. It's kind of personal development, but that's a good one. A lot of them are business or cycling related, which Man Up by Bedros Keuilian. That's another one that I like. It's kind of personal development, business related, but certainly a good read, or good read or listen, depending on whether you buy the physical or the audio. Man Up by Bedros Keuilian. That's another one that I really enjoyed as well. But anyway, those are a few of my favorites. Like, I got a ton more that I could share, but it really depends on what you're into. I'm not going to share all the different business books and stuff like that I'm into, but those are a few of my personal favorites. Hopefully you added a few of those to your Audible wish list and enjoy. All right, moving on, folks. How are we doing for time? We're 1:05. All right, I'll take a couple more questions and then we'll clue it up. Hopefully you're enjoying the video chat. I'm enjoying doing it. All right, let's see. Rick, Q2. Question 2. Is creatine a must for muscle building of an average lifter just looking to build a bit? No, creatine is not a must-have supplement. You can build muscle, get in shape without creatine. Creatine only hit the market in the 90s, right? Like, that's when creatine became mainstream and popularized and blah, blah, blah. People were building muscle and getting freaking jacked and ripped and in awesome shape long before creatine. Like, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Lou Ferrigno and all those guys back in the pumping iron era, they weren't using creatine. It wasn't around, and they were freaking amazing shape. So you don't need creatine. It's not a must-have supplement. You can still get in shape without it, but it helps, right? So, it can give you, it's an affordable supplement. It works. It's backed by tons of research. I mean, why not? Right? It's safe, it's healthy, it's effective, it's legal, it's affordable. Why not? Right? And the thing is, with creatine, the big one you got to realize, it's not just a performance muscle building supplement, but it's an overall health supplement. It's good for your overall health and well-being. It's good for your cognitive and your mental health. Right? It helps to prevent neurological diseases and mental degenerative diseases. So like people with Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and stuff, creatine supplementation has been shown to help in those situations. It helps to keep you mentally sharp, not only physically strong and fit, but mentally strong and fit. It also helps to prevent a lot of the age-related degenerative diseases, that people suffer from. So like your grandparents should be taking creatine, regardless if they work out or not. They should be supplementing with creatine. So it's a good overall health supplement. And that's why I take it on a regular basis. Like, at this stage of the game, I really couldn't care less if I get bigger or stronger. Like, that's not my main goal, but I want to be healthy. So that's why I'm taking creatine. What else we got there? Eric, it's not necessary, but it's a good, I think he's replying to the Rick's question, and it's kind of just replicating what I said. It's not necessary, but it works. Yeah, I think that's what it was, because he posted that right after Rick's question. Nitro, how do you shape the side and lower portion of your chest? All right. Your genetic muscle shape is genetic for the most part. The only thing you can do to shape a muscle, whether that's your chest, your biceps, your back, your legs, or whatever, is build the muscle bigger and lose the body fat that's covering it. That's pretty much all you can do. I mean, like, I know you'll hear people say, oh, there's shaping exercises and sculpting exercises and toning exercises and blah, blah, blah. But those are all fancy ways of saying build the muscle bigger and lose the fat that's covering it. Like, that's really all you can do. So as long as you're training your overall chest, and as long as you're losing the body fat that is surrounding your chest, you're pretty much doing all you can to maximize your chest. So some people are going to have, a big square full chest. Some people are going to probably have, a gap between their pecs. Some people are probably going to have a bigger upper chest and or thicker lower chest. Everyone's chest is going to look different, and it depends on their genetic makeup. Just like everybody looks different because of their genetic makeup, everyone's muscles are going to look slightly different because of their genetic makeup. right? Well, one of my fitness coaches said, I love how they put it. He said, we're all unique snowflakes, right? You know, like you get when a snowflake falls, like every snowflake is unique. There's no two snowflakes that are alike. We're all special, unique snowflakes. But when we hit the ground, we're all shoveled into the same pile, right? So we're all unique snowflakes. We all have our genetic differences and individualities and blah, blah, blah. But in the end of the day, it's the same shit for everybody. You build the muscle bigger or you lose the fat that's covering it. That's all you can do. All right. So you still get shoveled into the same pile regardless of your genetic differences. So that's, you know, I'm just being brutally honest. Now, I mean, as far as your workout for your chest, you can obviously optimize it. And how I would optimize a chest workout is make sure that you're training all the different ranges of motion, that you're hitting all the different angles. So I like positions of flexion for workouts, especially for chest workouts, but this applies for pretty much all your major muscle groups. So in the case of a chest workout, make sure that you're doing some form of mid-range compound pressing movements, some sort of bench press. Make sure that you're doing a fully stretched exercise, something that is stretching out the muscle in the fully stretched position, such as a dumbbell fly. And then make sure that you're doing some peak contraction exercise, such as a pec deck fly or a cable crossover to work the peak contraction. And if you want to see an example of this, head on over to the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel. And in the playlist section, there is a playlist there amongst all the gazillion videos that I've got. There's a playlist for positions of flexion. And even if you do a search for Lee Hayward positions of flexion chest workout, you should be able to find it. Or Lee Hayward POF chest workout. I might have abbreviated POF for positions of flexion. And all that means is you work through mid-range fully stretched and compound, or mid-range fully stretched and peak contraction. That's what positions of flexion stands for. But I've got a full playlist there covering positions of flexion workouts for all your major muscle groups, including the chest. So if you're utilizing that and you're losing the body fat that's covering your chest along with, you know, with proper nutrition, cardio and all that, you're basically doing what you can do to maximize your chest. The rest is up to genetics and there. Jason saying, how do I feel about G.N.C lean protein shakes? I have not used G.N.C supplements, their brand of protein powder, for a while. So I don't really have any comments to share. The one that I use, like, I'll just share this. For the most part, protein powders are protein powders for the most part. Like, there's only so many manufacturers of protein powders, and then all the individual supplement companies kind of like buy up the raw materials from the same manufacturers and get a private labeled as their own. Now, they may add in different flavors and additives and whatever, you know, to make it unique, but the protein in brand X is probably very similar to the protein that's in brand Y. You know, there's protein is protein. It's like if we went out and, like, hey, Farmer John's chicken eggs are just as good as Farmer Bill's chicken eggs, right? They're chicken eggs, right? Like, it's protein is protein. Now, so I haven't used G.N.C protein powder myself in years. I have used it back in the day, but my God, it's been like well over a decade since I've been to G.N.C. Like, I'm not kidding you. I get my protein powder now, is the one that I use is from Canadian Protein. It's a private label Canadian company, and I just really like their protein powder. That's one that I use personally. But for the most part, any protein powder is going to work. Like, so, yeah. As long as you enjoy the taste of it, as long as it sits well with your stomach, you should be good to go. That's the big one. Like, when it comes to protein powder, that's the big thing you need to look at. Does it taste good? Do you enjoy drinking it? Does it sit well with your stomach? Because if it doesn't taste good, if you don't enjoy drinking it and it doesn't sit well with your stomach, you're not going to drink it, right? So those are the big ones, right? That needs to be there first, because if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to do it. So as long as you enjoy it, then it should be good to go. All right, so I'm going to get ready and clue this up very shortly. Oh, we got a question there from City for the previous question, or it's actually sponsored the chat. Much appreciated, City. I do appreciate your support. Thank you for that. It means a lot. And hopefully I was helpful with answering your question. And again, best of luck to you. I believe that previous question, just to be sure, that was the personal training advice question. I think it was. Yes, it was. Yes, you want to be a fitness coach at the gym. So again, wish you all the best with that, and keep me posted with how it goes. All right, where else we got there? What's more effective, hammer curls or bicep curls? It's a different exercise. The hammer curl is going to work more of the forearms and going to work more of the kind of like the brachialis. The bicep curl is going to hit more of the actual bicep. It's just a different variation, and you're hitting different muscles. It's not that one is more effective, good, bad, right or wrong. It's just different. I do both, right? I will incorporate both hammer curls and regular palms up bicep curls, as well as supinating curls, right? So there's benefits to all of those. And if you want an effective arm workout, you should incorporate all those different variations at some point or another. I'm not saying you have to do them all in the same workout, but like over the course of, a training cycle or over the course of a period of time, you should cycle through hammer curls, regular palms up bicep curls, supinating curls, different types of curl variations. Just make sure that you're hitting all the different areas of the biceps and the forearms. Jason's asking, what is creatine? Google it. That's the easiest thing I can do. Like, Google it, right? It's a supplement. It's a nutritional supplement. And again, I'm going to just say Google it. We're going to leave it at that. Right. Google will be able to answer that a lot easier than I will. What else we got? And Ryan is saying, great stream. Thank you. All right. Well, that's a good one. We're going to clue it up on that one. Glad you enjoyed it, Ryan, and hopefully the rest of you enjoyed it as well. And if there's anything, questions, comments, or feedback that you have, or if there's any, want more clarification on anything that I discussed, feel free to reach out to me. I have my contact information down in the description below this video. So if you're watching it over on Facebook, you can send me a private message right through Facebook. If you're watching it through YouTube, then you can open up the video description and send me an email through and contact me that way. Or I would recommend, if we're not friends on Facebook already, friend me up, right? Just click on my profile link, which again is in the description below this video. Click on it, send me a friend request, and just let me know. Like, if you do send me a friend request, also send me a message and say, hey, I follow your YouTube videos. Please accept my friend request, or something like that. Because like everybody, I get a bunch of friend requests, and I'm kind of hesitant to accept friend requests from people who I have no the hell idea who you are. And because Facebook has a limited number of friends that you can have, I sometimes, I'm selective over who I add. But if you're a follower of this video chat, then hey, by all means, I'll add you as a friend. So if you are and you want to friend me up, do so. Then we can chat through Facebook. And in the meantime, if you want some help with your fitness and nutrition program, or you want some help with coaching, you can also reach out to me there. I have a link below in there where you can schedule in for a strategy session call, and we can brainstorm some ideas and see if you'd be a good fit for the Muscle After 40 VIP coaching program. All right, we got a good group of guys there. And if that's something you're interested in, feel free to reach out to me and we can chat about it. And I'm going to get ready and clue it up. My wife has a lovely dinner on the stove out there, and I am hungry and looking forward to it. So I'm going to go out and join the family for dinner, and I will talk to you same time next week. Take care. Over and out.